here comes tonight's confession, which comes from Davey. If you miss any, the podcast available Friday. And if you have a confession on the email, please, it's confessions@bbc.co.uk. Davey says, Simon, Joe, and the ecclesiastical ecumenical crew, which means that's you, basically.
I like the crew bit.
Yeah. I've decided it's time for us to purge our souls and seek forgiveness for a misdemeanor 10 years ago this autumn. By us, I mean my sister and I, and our tale starts when we were invited to a major event at a hotel somewhere down south. This was a computer event, okay? A computer event, as we own a computer shop in the sleepy village of Windermere in the English Lake District. This event was organised by one of the very large computer manufacturers, who are best left nameless, I think. This event was very highbrow and was a James Bond-themed evening, so I had to wear a full black tie while my sister was in an evening dress. We were all allocated a table, and my sister Marion and I were put on a table with the UK's leading computer retailer at the time. Okay. There were 10 of us to a table, 8 of them being from the aforementioned company, and they proceeded to tell us how successful they were at great length, and that we didn't know anything about selling computers. I thought this was a bit strange, as that year they'd posted a substantial loss in the region of £34 million, which I happened to mention, but was told that clearly that was just negative profit. What a good phrase that is. It's not a loss, it's just negative profit. Anyway, it turns out the rotund, rude man sitting next to me was a director or executive of said company with negative profit of 34 million. As the night wore on, we had a little bit of the free booze and we watched the award ceremony, where it seemed everybody won an award bar us. The portly gentleman who I just told you about won an award for top executive and went up to collect it to a big round of applause. He came back to the table, threw the blue box down, saying, "Puh, just another award," which was a bit disheartening for those of us who actually hadn't won one. All around the room were blackjack and roulette tables, and they gave you loads of chips to play with. So everyone was now busy either dancing or gambling, leaving my sister and me at the table, drinking and musing about our lack of awards. My sister, who I might add is older than me, got the man's discarded award out of the box and showed it to me. She then said, "You know, we could have an award. if we wanted one, we could just have this one." Now, when your older sister goads you into doing something, it is throwing down the gauntlet a bit, and I decided this seemed like a good idea. This is where it all gets a little weird. I proceeded to take the substantial award out of the box and place it down the back of my trousers, where it nestled neatly.
Ooh. Ouch. Is it like a triangle, pyramid shape?
I was going to say, shape.
I mean, if you were going to help yourself to an award, putting it down the back of your trousers isn't the obvious thing to do. Anyway, they had a few drinks. Davey says, "I walked around a bit and tested it and thought, yes, I can get away with it. I hadn't told my sister that I'd accepted her challenge at this point. As I sat at the table, I realised that the fancy blue box now felt considerably lighter than it should, and it would be obvious that it was now missing the award that was down the back of my trousers. I had to find a way to even the weight back up, so I scoured a few tables and then saw exactly what I needed, right there on the cheese board in front of me. I scooped up all the blue cheese and packed it into the empty gap where the award had been and pressed it down until it felt about the right weight, maybe about a pound's worth of best blue Stilton. Satisfied with my night's work, I left the box on the table and proceeded to head for the exit and to bed, as it was now past midnight. As we approached the door to leave, I noticed our host was waiting by the door and giving everyone a full body hug as they left, and there was a small queue forming for this ritual. Only 2 people in front of me, I realised that if he hugged me, he would definitely feel the glass award that was nestled in the back of my trousers. As I got close, he went for the hug and I politely pushed him to one side, and although he seemed a little bit upset, he quickly moved on to the gentleman behind me. As we got out of the corridor, my sister said, "I knew you wouldn't steal the award," at which point I put my hand down the back of my trousers and produced it with a flourish from behind me and held it in the air triumphantly like I'd won the World Cup. Oh, I wasn't going to mention that. We laughed all the way back to our rooms. The following morning, we left and checked out of the hotel, and on the way to my car, I saw our gentleman loading his case into the bonnet of his red Porsche 911. Before proceeding to put the award, this box, in the front passenger footwell of his car. He was treating it very reverently. He obviously hadn't checked. I have no clue as to when my transgression was discovered, but I'm sure it wasn't pleasant. So I now beg and beseech and implore your forgiveness, not for the large gentleman, as I didn't like him anyway, but for the computer company that gave the award and my sales executive from that company who had invited me in good faith. And then I almost went and spoilt it by swapping a top-class award for a pound's worth of Blue Stilton. Joe Wiley speaks first.
Obviously, there is a sin involved here, and that sin is envy. But if you ask me, I don't know what image anybody else had in their head of this boss, the rotund, rather portly top executive. David Brent sprung to mind.
A
little bit of David Brent in there. So he sounded pretty objectionable and just kind of discarding the award and saying, just another award. I think he kind of had it coming to him, really.
Yes.
So I'd say I'm going to forgive. I'm going to forgive Davey and also his sister. And also Davey was led astray, wasn't he, by his sister? So it wasn't really his fault at all.
Elder sisters are always problematic, I've found.
Are they?
Oh.
In life? Not really.
Would you like to share with us some of the bad things you've done because of your sister?
Oh, I mean, where to start?
Maybe your sister's listening and she would like to share with us.
She almost certainly is. So I can just say none of that is true. She's an angel, obviously, and a leading headmistress. Anyway, yes, sorry, Bobby, go on.
It's really tricky, this one, because the table they sat on sounded really obnoxious and horrible and awful. You're right about the sin of envy. You're right, they're envious, and let's face it, if you haven't won anything, you haven't won anything, and you just have to take it on the chin and do better next time if you can. And
But this guy's an oaf. He didn't want it anyway. He might prefer the cheese.
This guy had no humility. You see, there was his lesson. So, and also he needed a lesson, so he didn't care about it. He just went, just another award. I don't think you should have stolen it. I don't think. But there's part of me that thinks that you just got caught up in the Bond theme, and you on a rescue mission of the Bond theme.
Oh, I think it's a Bond theme.
And you.
There's always one who spoils it for the rest of us.
I'm going to carry on. Okay, the Bond theme. Wish I'd said it now. So you got caught up. You rescued it. It's fine. It was a special bit of, I don't know, kryptonite, and you took it back home and saved it and took it back to Cumbria where it belongs. So I'm going to forgive you on that